What's going on, everybody? I am here to do a review for one of my most anticipated movies of the year, Spider-Man No Way Home, which is the third installment of the Spider-Man series for the MCU. And when I tell you that the hype level for this movie was real, I do mean it was real. But the biggest question y'all probably have, I should say, is did the movie actually live up to the hype? Well, that's what we're going to discuss. So like I said, this movie is the third installment of the Spider-Man MCU series that ran by both Marvel and Sony. And it basically picks right up where Spider-Man Far From Home left off. Like literally right where it left off. Because Spider-Man Far From Home, that rounded out Phase 3. Although many say that should have been the kickoff for Phase 4. Especially with everything that happened in Avengers Endgame. But it picks right up where Spider-Man Far From Home left off, where Peter Parker's identity has been revealed to the world by Mysterio after he's been falsely accused of using Stark Industries drones in order to kill him. When we know that was definitely not true, because Mysterio was, an illusionist, so he could make things look a particular way without that actually being the case. So he actually put out this memo, not a memo, but this video around the world saying that Peter Parker was the one that killed him and that Peter Parker is indeed Spider-Man. So now Peter Parker is basically on the run, and he has to he can't conceal his identity anymore, because he's only told a select few people who he is, but now everybody knows who he is, and not even for good reason, because now it's under the assumption that he killed Mysterio, and Mysterio played off this individual that he was this good guy when he really wasn't. So now we are into this film right here. You have Spider-Man, Peter Parker. He's with MJ, played by Zendaya, and then he's also with his friend Ned, and they're basically trying to navigate through life now that his identity has been revealed, because not only is his identity being revealed affecting himself, but it's also affecting those around him. His girlfriend, his best friend, his aunt. Everybody that has any kind of connection to Peter Parker, they are now pretty much like the target of scrutiny. And now he has to try to figure out a way in order to undo what has been done, which is where Doctor Strange comes in. So Doctor Strange, he goes and visits him, and he basically says, look, Doc, I'm in a very big crisis right now. All I wanted to do was save people, have my identity be concealed, go to college, and try to live some kind of a normal life, even though with all the stuff he's been through, life really isn't normal for Peter Parker. It really isn't. So he goes to Doctor Strange because he knows what Doctor Strange can do. They, work together, Endgame, Infinity War, and all types of stuff like that. So he knows Doctor Strange is capable of doing or concocting a spell of some sort in order to reverse what happened. But that's easier said than done. Granted, Doctor Strange has a lot of mystical art type powers, sorcery, wizardry, anything that you can say. But keep in mind, he doesn't have the time stone anymore. He lost that in Endgame. He no longer has the time stone, so he has to come up with another plan. And that plan is a spell to basically make the world forget about Spider-Man. And basically Wong tells, and by the way, everything I'm talking about right now is not really a spoiler, because a lot of that stuff was showed in the trailer. Wong, who is like his right hand man, basically tells him, Doctor Strange, do not do that spell, because what has happened when people have used that spell in the past. So this is a spell that has been used before that sounds to me like it has a lot of risk behind it, and a lot of risk it does. So basically they work together to put the spell together to try to come up with a plan for what Peter Parker wants. But then something happens. Peter Parker basically messes something up with the spell, and it throws things off, and then all of a sudden things just start happening, or people start coming in from different universes. And basically, based on you saw it in the trailer, you saw Doc Ock come in, you saw the Green Goblin come in, you seen Electro come back, Lizard Man come back, Sandman come back. So you pulled in all the villains from the previous movies, with the exception of one in particular, but we already saw their movie, and they're most likely in the MCU now. I don't have to tell you who it is, y'all pretty much can figure it out. But now all of these villains are coming in, and they're looking for Peter Parker, and they see Peter Parker, but it's not the Peter Parker that they know. Because remember, You had Doc Ock and Green Goblin deal with one particular Peter Parker. You had Lizard Man and Sandman deal with a Peter Parker. Then you had Lizard Man and Electro deal with another Peter Parker. And neither one of the Peter Parkers that they were dealing with, or Spider-Man that they were dealing with, was the Peter Parker Spider-Man that we have right currently now. So when they see him and they witness him, they who are you? Like, you're not Peter Parker. You have the Spider-Man suit on. You can move around like him, but you're not who we know. So now Peter Parker and his friends and Doctor Strange have to figure out a way to get all these people that have come into their universe back into their universe. And of course, with some of them, they met a very drastic end, meaning they died. So basically, Doctor Strange tells Peter, look, the only way we can fix this is we have to send them back to where they came from, and they have to die. It's their fate. But Peter is like, he wants to be the goody two-shoes and says, no, I can't allow that to happen. I have to find another way to save them. And then a whole bunch of other ish just goes awry after that. I would say, visually, this movie was insane, especially in this one scene where Doctor Strange and Spider-Man had to, I guess you could say fight each other, and he took him into his world. I think it's called the mirror dimension. When I watched that, my mind was just blown. It was like watching Inception. Whenever I think of Doctor Strange and doing all those things, especially in his movie, I immediately think of Inception with the constant moving of things and objects around and having everything just fluidly moving, and you just don't know which way is up, down, in between, to the left, to the right of you. It's just amazing and visually nice to actually see something like that. Now, I will admit, I don't think I could watch something like that in 3D. However, I'm sure in a three-dimensional format, it looks amazing. Like, it looks phenomenal. Like, the editing that they did and the visual effects for that one particular scene alone was crazy. The trailers did not do it justice at all. Like, you only get a little tease when it comes to the trailer for that particular scene, but when you actually see the full scene, it's just simply amazing. That was probably one of my favorite scenes in the entire movie. Granted, there was other parts, but that one right there really, really stuck out to me. That's one thing I like about the Doctor Strange characters, because we get some extra, I guess you could say, oomph into the scenes that come with his character because of the things that he's able to do and his powers and his abilities. I will say that this is probably some of the best acting as Spider-Man that I've seen Tom Holland do. In all of the roles that he's played Spider-Man as, like, there was a lot of emotions in this movie that I did not see in the previous two films. There was a lot of stakes at hand with this movie, and it literally rested on his shoulders as far as the performance goes and the emotional side of it, and him having to do what he had to do in order to save his friends and his family and the world as far as we know. And it was just one scene. I don't want to spoil anything, but it was one scene in there that he literally dug deep into his emotional bag and pulled out all of those emotions for this particular scene. Like I said, Tom Holland doesn't get a lot of props for playing Spider-Man because everyone likes to hand it off to Tobey Maguire and in some cases Andrew Garfield. But in this case, I can't even say if y'all was to watch this movie, y'all couldn't say that y'all didn't like his performance, especially in a couple of the scenes that he really, really dug in there and really dug in, like I said, into his emotional bag to pull out those emotions and really sell those scenes that really needed to be sold on his part. The fighting was good. The fighting was definitely good. The end battle scene was very good, and it's amazing how they're able to film or do something like that, because we know Spider-Man is a character that web slings to different buildings and throughout the city. So for him to be condensed into one location, which is the Statue of Liberty, to fight off these different enemies, that's hard, because granted, you can swing and maneuver all over the place, but you're only stuck in one spot, so you literally are fighting a huge battle while enclosed in a very tight space. So we all know Spider-Man is a character that has to move around into various places all the time, and that's why he's able to do what he does. But when he's in a tight space, it's kind of hard for him to fight, but that's the beauty of it. He has to become very resourceful of his surroundings in order to win his battles. And it was just like the fighting, like that battle, that end scene was just amazing. Like I said, it was good seeing all the characters coming back. I'm so glad that they gave Jamie Foxx a makeover as Electro, because him being blue in the Amazing Spider-Man 2 just wasn't cutting it. And I'm glad they made him look like Electro. They even, whenever he would shoot the shockwave, the electricity out of his hands, the Electro crown would come over his face, just like the Electro character in the cartoon and in the comics. So I thought that was pretty dope. Willem Dafoe, hands down, still has it as Green Goblin, and he doesn't get enough props to me as an actor of how he can jump into one mood and then jump into another mood simultaneously. Because as you know, Norman Osborn, when he became Green Goblin, he went from being Norman Osborn, a person that was seen as, weak and everything like that, to being the Green Goblin, who was this menace who didn't care. He said anything that came to his mind, and he would kill anybody, like literally anybody. So it's good to see that he still has that. You had Doc Ock come back, and he's still playing his same type of character that he played in the original one. And I think it's pretty dope that because in the original the Spider-Man 2 movie, at that time we didn't have the technology, so they had to actually build 4 arms to maneuver around when they filmed the movie, so it was more practical. But now with the advancement of technology and CGI and everything like that, they can now computerize everything. So I know he was very more comfortable. The comfort level was there in order for him to deliver this particular role as well. You had the Lizard Man. I didn't watch the Amazing Spider-Man. I did watch Amazing Spider-Man 2. I wasn't really a big fan of the Andrew Garfield films. Like, I didn't run out there to go watch them like I did with the Tobey Maguire films or the Tom Holland ones. So I really it's Lizard Man. At least they made him look like a lizard, unlike in that movie Suicide Squad, where he didn't look like a lizard. I don't know what that was supposed to be, but in this one, at least he looked like one, and he moved like one. Sandman was still, a pretty dope character. I always thought Sandman was a cool character because he moves through sand. That's how he's able to move, and then he's able to grow his body, manipulate his body, be very strong, and everything like that. So the villains in the movie was very good. Now I'm not going to spoil anything. But I will say this. Everything that you've heard about certain people showing up, those were not rumors. I'm going to leave it at that. That's all I have to say about that. Also, make sure y'all stay all the way to the end of. This is something that Marvel should start doing from now on, because I did not see this coming. They had a mid-credit scene, which Marvel always does, but then at the end, the post-credit scene was not a post-credit scene. It was a post-credit trailer. I'm not going to save the trailer for what, but if y'all know, you know. And I'm going to say it like this. That trailer that they showed is my most anticipated MCU film for next year. Like, hands down. When I was watching that and I heard certain things and I saw certain things when it was like doing little flashes, I'm not even gonna lie, I wasn't even excited. I was literally frozen. I was actually shook. Like, my body was like, I had chills go through my body, and I'm still thinking about it right now. I cannot wait for them to put that trailer online so I can watch it again and again and again. But something told me they were not going to release this trailer until after this movie came out because of the order. Now, they probably won't have the trailer up so fast. They may or they may not. I'm not sure. They might do it for audience effect to get people to go watch it, and they may release it a little bit later, and the people are going to be talking anyway. By the time this review goes up, y'all might even find out what the trailer is for. But all I know is this: it does have me excited for when the movie does come out, and I cannot wait for it, because let's put it this way, it was supposed to come out this year. No, it was supposed to come out this year, but we know with the pandemic, everything got pushed back. But yeah, I can't wait for that movie. But I really did enjoy Spider-Man No Way Home. I'm curious to see where they're going to go forward with this movie, especially with how I guess you could say the consequence was at the end of the movie. So yeah, I definitely enjoyed this movie. I'm sure that if y'all go and watch it, y'all will enjoy it as well. This has been my review for Spider-Man No Way Home. Y'all let me know what y'all think down in the comments.